honestly, I don't think I've ever pulled my phone out on those walks.
No, I would agree. I was just going to say, I feel like that's like really our time where we just kind of talk.
And just like, hang out.
Yeah, and like we talk all day. I mean, not like when we're at work. I feel like that has been minimal, which is fine. You know, it's not like we text each other all day, you know, most days, you know, but, and then we come home and, you know, we have a little bit of conversation, but really that I feel like is when we like really have our conversations, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I feel like we started that a long time ago because we started doing our check-ins on walks too.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, so I feel like that for us is just where it has become easy to just talk.
Yeah. And find something to do like that. You know, go on a walk.
Right.
Maybe do the dishes together.
Yes. I was just gonna say that. Cleaning up the kitchen after whatever. Yep.
Like find something, even if it's like 15, 20 minutes to do, and then just talk. You know, don't do these things and just sit, you know, do it quietly. Like actually try to have a conversation and show genuine interest. Because when you show genuine interest in somebody else's life, they might be genuinely interested to know about your life.
Yeah.
And no couple out there knows each other like the back of their hand where they can't just have a random conversation. Right. You can talk about anything and everything. Welcome to the 75th annual Hunger Games. David said to keep doing that. So I'm gonna keep
serious?
Doing it. Yeah.
Oh, about him. I'm just going to shout out him really quick. So you know how I gave you your anniversary gift?
Yeah.
And so I was looking through all of our pictures to find one that like we didn't have a picture of yet, you know, blown up. Did you see the pictures of him on our USB drive?
I didn't, no.
There's pictures of him like standing on the balcony going like this.
No, I haven't seen that.
Something else.
Like a zoom in photo?
Yeah, I have it on my phone. I'll have to show it to you. So I sent it to him and I was like, I was looking at, you know, I told him what I was doing and then I said I really love these candid photos of you, and I guess Ernest was practicing.
Oh, that's with the zoom lens.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was so funny.
Welcome, guys. This is the Unscripted Conversations podcast. My name is Jay,
and I'm Molly.
And sorry, we just kind of got to talking there. That's what happens, you know. Sometimes when you keep things unscripted, you just kind of talk about things that just come to mind. So, this week we got some good stuff to talk about, some not so good stuff to talk about. But we're going to do this properly and start off with our card. We'll do our check-ins, and then we'll move into our topic matter for this week, which is couples talk, couples therapy, everything that couples should be doing and checking in with each other. So let's start off with the card.
If you had to commit a crime, who would you call for help and why?
If I had to commit a crime, who would I call?
First of all, what would the crime be?
Well, that's not part of the question.
Well, but that has to be part of it.
Oh my gosh, man. What friend do I have is willing to commit a crime with me? I can name a few who aren't going to commit the crime with me. Man.
I know. I was like, that's a good one.
I probably would call, I mean, is it like here? Or can they be from other places?
It can be from anywhere.
I'd probably call Charlie.
Really?
Charlie, my buddy Charlie from high school, he's always like the daring one.
Yeah.
He is always like up for adventure. So I'd probably call him up.
What's your crime?
I don't know. Whatever comes to mind. But,
see, when I think of crime, I think of like, oh, I killed somebody, you know, like on accident or something. Like that's
I'm thinking
like where
bank
I think
heist,
of. Yeah,
I'm
I know.
Like stealing a car, like not that killing somebody.
Well, like not that I'm going out and like
She's
thinking about killing
crazy.
people, but like, you know, you think of a crime and I just automatically think like, oops, accident. You know, like those stories where like somebody accidentally kills somebody or like how to get away with murder, and it was like always an accident, but they like cover it up and So I think of like who's good at covering something like that up.
That's good. Yeah,
that like is where my mind goes
I think me and Charlie and like a group of friends like Tyler and Ernest and David, like we are fun and rambunctious like teenagers, and we used to do a lot of crazy stuff. Like remember when I was talking to Ernest about all the pranks we used to play on each other, and we go back and forth. like, I feel like Charlie would be like the guy who you'd had fun committing the crime with, but he would always get your back when you got caught. So I think he's like an honorable, like, criminal.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'd probably call him up. What about you?
I'd probably call you.
Call me, yeah.
If I'm talking about like accidentally
like,
killing somebody, so that because you're the
What
smart
did you do
one,
on
you'd be
your
like,
anniversary?
like,
Commit a crime. That's funny. What would you be your crime?
I already said
Killing somebody.
Yeah,
Holy
like
smokies.
like not on purpose, where it was like thought out and you did it.
This is on the internet.
No, I'm saying like an accident, like
okay, gotcha.
more of like an accident thing, like where people are panicking and you're like, oh, what do I do?
Yeah.
You'd be the one that talk me down and be like, well, I just call the cops.
Yeah,
It's okay, we don't have to cover it up.
For sure. That's funny. What's the second question?
Oh, how likely to get caught would you be?
How likely to get caught would you be? Highly unlikely.
Yeah, you're too smart.
Too cunning. Can outrun people.
All you would be
Wink.
like is like,
wink. Hey,
what are you doing?
I heard this dad joke. Not dad joke. Dang it.
Oh, no, it's
Man.
does Mike Wazowski blink or wink?
Blink or wink? What is it, guys? Does he blink or does he wink?
And then for those of you who are like, who the heck is Mike Wazowski? He's a big old
Wazowski.
he's a big old green blob.
Eyeball.
Yeah,
No, he's an eyeball. He's an eyeball from Monsters Inc.
Inc. So he has
Yeah.
one eye. So when he blinks, is he blinking or is he winking?
I said he's blinking because winking you have like one eye open.
Well, and like, yeah, and you're
And
like,
he's only got one eye, so he
can't blink.
he can't wink.
He can't wink. Sorry.
So he's blinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's funny. Yeah. And that wasn't a dad joke.
No,
But
it
that
was
was
something
just
that was
a
keeping
joke.
us up at night.
Yeah. The mysteries of the world, basically. Well, let's do our check-ins. We haven't done this since episode 10, I believe. I think episode 10 was our check-in.
Really?
Yeah. 9 or 10.
Okay. Feels like a while ago.
Yeah. So let's talk about our physicals. Lately, I've been having these like weird heart like palpitation type of things, and I've usually gotten them when I get like anxiety or when I get nervous about something. It's like I have this extra beat, and like my Apple Watch, I'll take my heart, your heartbeat with it, and then I'll show Molly EKG. It's actually called the ECG on that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But anyways, so I was like, babe, I'm having like these heart palpitations. This was like last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like record my heart rate. And then she looked, she's like, yeah, you do have like an extra beat, like that's random. Almost every beat that one night. It was like almost
it
after
was pretty
every
frequent,
beat.
a couple days. Yeah.
So then she's like, maybe you need to go to the doctor or maybe go to urgent care to get it checked. And then she did a little digging.
I never said
next
urgent
day.
care, but
Oh, emergency room?
no.
Oh,
A doctor.
same thing. I hate them all. But so then she's like, how about you stop taking your creatine with your pre-workout and see if that helps. And she's like, maybe that's the reason why you haven't been able to lose weight too. And I don't know if you guys know about creatine, but creatine is really good at muscle recovery, but it also does have some side effects of like sometimes water retention, weight gain, obviously, and
Electrolyte
disturbances that can affect your heart too. So I stopped taking it, and then the palpitations went away. So I'm like, maybe it was that. But I'm like, dang it, now I'm not gonna get the gains. I was getting buff, but
you are getting the gains.
But then I have been losing just a little bit of weight, and I think it was just that water retention from the creatine. I was maybe taking just a little bit too much, and so I've seen like my weight kind of just go down a little bit. So before I was struggling to even get down below like 175, but then now I'm like trickling down, so it feels good. Physically, this week I felt really good with my lifts. Yesterday was kind of a shit show, but it is what it is. We'll talk about that later. But on the check-in scale, I'd probably say I'm like a 6.75.
That's
good. A little bit better.
That is a little bit
I think
better.
last time I said 4.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're above 5.
Yeah.
You've been pushing yourself more too, which I'm proud of you.
Yeah, those back squats and bench presses were pretty gnarly. The rack pulls out yesterday, I was just going like, I wasn't feeling it, but I'll get back at it tomorrow. So, yeah, what about you? What's your physicals at, babe?
Maybe like a 7.5.
Okay, that's pretty good.
I think I just like feel bloated, so I don't like the way I look, but
yeah,
it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
7.5 is pretty good though. I mean, your lifts were doing pretty good. Your back squats were legit this week. Like,
I am pushing myself.
Yeah.
Unlike some people in this room.
I know. Well, so if you guys don't follow like CrossFit athletes, Tia Claire Toomey, she's pregnant and she's literally about to pop.
She is a beast.
And she's still lifting heavy.
Did you see her Instagram today?
What was it about?
She
said she's still training.
She is still training, but she was promoting her like strength and like mobility stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I think I'm gonna buy it.
Do it.
Yeah, because it looked kind of cool. Like she had like a couple like pictures of like what she was doing and stuff.
Yeah.
So some stuff with like some band work and like
cool.
things. So
I think I was actually just thinking about that. Funny you said that because I actually started a free 14-day trial of HWPO. Matt Fraser's workout program. Oh. Because he does a lot of like strength workouts.
Yeah.
But he actually prioritizes stretching before you work out, doing the strength workout, and then doing some sort of Metcon, which is like, there was like intervals of rowing. There was intervals of...
We should try it. I think we really should add in cardio.
Just like switch it up a little bit. Because I feel like the FBA that we've been doing with Ryan has been so-so. It's been good. I've been getting stronger. But I fly by those accessories and I'm just like, I need something cardio to lose fat. I think that might help me lose fat. So.
And when I did our OTC, we always stretched beforehand and after.
Yeah.
And I was the most flexible then. And I think it would force us to actually stretch because we kind of like put that on the back burner because we're like, oh, we're finished with our workout. Let's get upstairs and take care of Conrad and whatever. So,
yeah. He actually, cool. It's prioritized at least a warm up. Yeah. And then afterwards you can do their go-wad, but we have pliability.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so we should be good. Yeah, so that's good.
Cool.
Emotionals?
I'm tired this week.
Yeah.
Like really tired this week, so I'm gonna say like a 7.
7.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Like I feel like I'm doing okay at work, doing okay at home. It's Friday and I'm tired.
Yeah. How many times, guys, is Molly gonna yawn in this podcast? Somebody said, yeah, Molly yawns towards the end of your podcast. I'm like, yeah, because we filmed this at the end of the day after we put our son down. It's like, yeah, she's yawned in every single episode. And I was like, oh my gosh, one of my patients.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
That is funny. That's sad.
Yeah, maybe you should like not yawn discreetly at least. What about your mentals?
What are your emotionals?
Oh, well. Right now, I'm like kind of on the up and up a little bit.
Yeah.
I would probably say I was like Wednesday and yesterday I was probably like 3, like pretty down in the dumps. For those of you who probably don't know, my grandpa passed away on Wednesday night, and I actually was on FaceTime with my sister and kind of saw the last moments of his life. And so our whole family's just kind of been in a funk. It's only been a couple days, so I'm trying to like see the positives and kind of celebrate his life and always try to keep some sort of remembrance or memory in my mind of him the last couple days. But yeah, it's been pretty tough. And it's hard too when you have to go to work and put on a face in front of your patients. I think that was the hardest thing because I didn't want to be rude. Right. By not saying anything to my patients or not having that positive, like go-lucky dentist attitude that they're all used to. And it's hard, because then I'll be honest, yesterday I would just go back to my office and I would just like tear up and just like let it out. And then next patient will come and it's like, okay, pick yourself up, go do your work, and then go back to my office. And so, Yeah, it's been really hard. Just this grandpa of mine, basically, grew up, in Hawaii, kind of raised me and taught me a lot of things. We call him like MacGyver because he could do anything and everything. He taught us. He was me and my cousins, like dentist and barber and doctor and like teacher and farmer. Like he taught us everything and anything. He was a musician. He was a tradesman. Like he could do everything, and I looked up to him so much. So yeah, we're kind of going through that as a family. But just like they say, the show goes on, and here we are, making a podcast, and I think it's appropriate that we talk about these kinds of things. And yeah. But today I feel like I'm like, like I said, I'm kind of on the up and up. So talk to my mom. I feel a little bit better, trying to stay positive.
Absolutely.
There's always like, a plan and, set for his funeral and everything. So there's closure sometime down the road here. But yeah, that's my emotionals.
Yeah. Mentals.
My mentals, I'd say it kind of parallel my emotionals a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know why we split that. I think I mistakenly split that.
Yeah, I kept wondering that too.
Yeah. But yeah, mentals are probably the same. I think my mentals, it's all like, how do you say mind over matter? Like to some extent, yes, but sometimes your heart takes over.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of the same. What about you?
Yeah, maybe a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like an 8.
8.
Instead of a 7. Maybe.
What about your spirituals?
I feel like we still can work on that as a group.
Yeah.
As a collective, but for me, maybe like a little bit better. Probably like 1 point above what I have been doing.
Okay.
I'm getting stronger in my prayers.
Yeah.
I'm proud of me?
You. I'm so proud of you.
Me too.
So after our religion episode, which was episode number 11, lucky number 11, I told Molly, like, okay, maybe you should start saying the prayers. And so she's like, well, how do I say a prayer? So I taught her the Mormon way, like the formula.
I'm a Mormon now.
Yeah, don't say that.
I'm kidding.
But she knows how to properly pray. And so she said a few prayers before we put Conrad down to bed, and I'm impressed.
And I actually use it myself in my head. So.
Do you really? Mm-hmm. I'm proud of you. I need to do that more. And I think right now, with my grandpa passing away, like my spirituals have been on the up and up, because I feel like these moments where like I am nothing without some spiritual help, and I'm sure other people can understand that during the tough times in their life. So yeah. Spirituals are definitely on the up and up, because I'm like, and it's sad that that's the only time my spirituals go up is when I need something. When a loss.
It is, but I think that's where we have the work, Yeah. Like.
Yeah. So I encourage you guys, like work on these things, your physicals, your emotionals, your mentals, your physicals. Oh, sorry. See, my mind's getting all over the place. Your spirituals. And then talk them through with your significant other, because, you want these check-ins so that if one person is struggling, you're there to help pick them up and help them out during their trials. So that's kind of what the topic of this week's podcast is going to be on, us talking about basically a couples therapy, like what we have experienced in our own lives as far as like helping each other out with these kinds of check-ins, supporting each other in our careers, our journeys, because, before you meet somebody, you're on your own journey, your own trajectory, and that's only up to you to get to where you want to go. But then when you marry somebody, when you're dating somebody, or even in a partnership with somebody, like your journeys are like together now. You're still on your own trajectory, but now you're kind of towing with somebody else, and you don't want to leave that other person behind or defer away from what they're doing. If you're hoping to be together, long term, your journeys and your paths are going to be basically parallel with each other.
Yeah, and they have to mold together, right? Doesn't mean that you guys have to become the same person.
Yep.
You know, like you said, we're both on our own trajectories. We both have our own likes. We both have our own goals, but we also have goals as a couple. And then we also know how to support each other in our individual goals and likes and whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of what our topic is today, is how to support each other in our own goals and not likes, hobbies. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
And how to be attentive in your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're not listening or you're not attentive, that other person often feels like you don't care about their goals or about their, whatever is important to them.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's something we do really well as a couple. And so we're just going to see if we can help other people learn from us and how we do it.
Yeah. One of the things that somebody had taught me to, and I mentioned this in another podcast, it's like when you're communicating with somebody, try to have eye contact with them because it shows that you're interested in them.
Absolutely.
As opposed to looking away and being like, is you sound and you look disinterested because you're not focusing on the person who's talking to you. So one of the things I also said in another podcast was when somebody's talking to you, not only hear them, but listen to them.
Absolutely.
Some people will start to formulate their response back to what somebody else is saying, what somebody is telling them or speaking to them about, and they're not actively listening to what they're saying. So,
well, and I think too, what's important with that is not interrupting until the person is finished with their thoughts and stuff too, because sometimes they're trying to explain something and you jump in and interject when they could be getting to that point, and then the whole conversation becomes disheveled. So
yeah, and I think I'm guilty of that sometimes because I feel like I have so many thoughts in my mind and I want to get it out before I forget about it. But the part about communicating and what we're trying to stress in this podcast is to be able to actively communicate with somebody, which includes actively listening to somebody.
Absolutely.
At the same time.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that too, jumping in, or sometimes you'll be like trying to think of how to say it and I'll like interject and jump in what I think you're trying to say, and sometimes that's not always right, so I just need to and then I'm like, I just shut up. He'll get there, just shut up. So
how have you shown someone, and it may not have to be just like in a relationship, but maybe like family or your friends, how have you shown someone interest in what they're talking about? Like, have you kind of like reaffirmed them what they're saying is true, or do you try to give your own 2 cents?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And I can do this from just my work, because constantly I'm just listening to people talk about themselves and what they're feeling. So, I have patients who have anxiety, and so I have to listen to them and their concerns and how their anxiety is bothering them and whatever. So a lot of times I just sit there and listen and nod my head, and when they take that pause, I say I understand, and I understand anxiety and things. And I am a cardiology nurse practitioner, so anxiety oftentimes presents as a cardiac problem. And so after we determine that their heart's fine, I have to tell them your heart is fine. This is not your heart. This is your anxiety. And that's, hard for people to hear sometimes, but also can be reassuring, but I tell them just, I acknowledge what they're feeling, because I understand anxiety can be a lot of emotional, things. So I understand that, but in a positive way, what's good is your heart is fine, so always just kind of re-upping it with something positive too. So I think that's a good example. I do that every day of my life. So sometimes it's, tiring to do it in your personal life then too.
Yeah. But I really enjoy, kind of learning about what you do at work, because I always thought that nurses were all the same kind of people, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that you're working with like cardiology or like the heart, like that's pretty cool. You know, like the heart is like the beating organ of the body. And so it's always interesting. And so whenever you come home, like I'm always like, hey, like what happened today, you know?
Yeah.
And I know it's the same every day. You know, it may be the same every day, like with me too.
Right.
But I think that's one thing that couples can be too, you know, to each other is like show interest in what you're doing. Like absolutely. I'm not like try not to fake it, like, but I don't fake it because I'm always interested. Like, hey, did you see a beating heart today? Like, did you see an open heart surgery? That like, what happened? You know, so I think it's cool because I get to learn stuff too. Like,
I like when you ask me questions because it's easier for me to like mess up in front of you and like think about it and stuff, and then it prepares me to how I'm going to explain it to patients.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of dumb it down for you. Like you're educated, you understand medicine, right? And you've done human anatomy. So sometimes you're like, well, this is what I remember. And you're so smart in the way that you can still remember that from X amount of years ago, ridiculous amount of years ago, you know, but like, so sometimes it's really helpful for me when you're like asking me those questions or then like kind of being like, well, I thought it was like this. And then I have to like rethink it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you're kind of right, but this is what I was thinking, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the fact that you figured out the whole creatine
I knew that for a while. I've been telling you that for a long time.
I know. But I was stubborn because I wanted to get buff.
I know.
And I was going to get fat.
I actually had a patient, so thank you, who like asked if he could take creatine, and I said absolutely not.
Really?
Yes, because he had heart issues, and I was like, that's going to dehydrate you because it's pulling into your muscles, and we don't want you retaining that fluid at all.
That's cool.
But whatever.
See, you learn. So, show interest in your significant other's careers or job, and you can learn something for yourself.
So, you know, you asked me, like, how do you listen and stuff? Like, how do you do that?
So I learned this thing while I was knocking on doors, sharing the gospel of Christ. But you basically repeat what the person said to you.
Yes.
And then to show that you actively listen to them.
Absolutely.
And then say like your thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's like, I hear you when you say that creatine is bad for me and appreciate you sharing that. I guess I'm going to figure something else out, you know? Yeah. So like,
I do that too, actually.
That'll show the person that you're talking to that you actually heard them.
Yeah.
And listen to what they say, to repeat it back to them.
Yes.
Before you actually gave your 2 cents.
I don't know. I feel like we use that with each other every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like, I think more so when we're having more of a deeper discussion, I'll call it. You know, I don't feel like we really argue per se, but sometimes we just have like misunderstandings with each other where we have to explain how the other was feeling and things.
Yeah.
And I feel like we use that a lot then because it's like, I hear what you're saying. This is what I'm hearing, but this is how I'm feeling.
Or this is how I'm interpreting it.
But this is how I interpreted it. And so that's why I'm feeling this way. You know, so that really helps us, I feel.
Oh, yeah.
To understand the other person's perspective, but also acknowledging the other person's perspective at the same time.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. And I mean, to just dive in a little deeper and to piggyback off of that too, when we do have these like deeper conversations or disagreements, which every couple is going to have, like we'll, for instance, say, okay, this is what I heard you say, and this is how I took it.
Yes.
Did you mean it that way?
Right.
Or did you mean it some other way? And this is how I feel about it.
Yes.
You know, so you have to somewhat not validate what the other person said, but actually kind of tell them how you felt or what you heard from them and ask, is this correct?
Right.
Instead of assuming that what their intention was when they said that particular thing, that's how they portrayed it or that's how they wanted to have it come off to you. So listen, repeat it back to them and be like, hey, this is what I heard you say. Did you mean it this way? Because this is how I took it.
Right.
And then have them respond back by saying, yeah, you're right. That's how I intended it to say. Or no, that's not what I meant.
Right.
And then say, okay, please explain it to me.
And I think what's really important with that is not shutting down when your partner is coming to you and saying, this is what I heard. Is this what you meant? I think some people, when they're approached, and even when it is in a positive manner like this is what I heard. Is this what you meant? People find that as being confrontational, and that's hard for some people. But I think approaching it that way can hopefully make it not feel so confrontational.
Yeah.
But I think that's hard for some people. And I feel like it's hard for me sometimes when you're like that, because I get defensive right away and I'm like, that's not what I meant. So I have to take a minute sometimes and be like, okay, I appreciate the way you're coming to me. I appreciate, that you misunderstood and you're just coming and asking me instead of bottling up and getting mad about it, because that's not what I meant, and then we can have a discussion about it. So I think, what's really important for people in relationships to understand is if your partner is coming to you and not coming at you, but just coming to you to have a discussion, try to take that moment to take a step back and realize that, okay, we're going to have a discussion about this. This isn't going to have to be an argument. This isn't going to have to be a time where we're going to be yelling at each other. We're really just trying to understand each other.
And have a conversation. Yeah. And I think, you've talked about the person receiving this confrontation, but also the person who is going to be making the approach that you need to do it in a way that's level-headed.
Absolutely.
Without attitude. And I know there's different situations, will garnish the kind of emotions, but it doesn't help when, if I came at you and be like, you know what, this is really ridiculous.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. Don't attack the person you're trying to understand, because if they're going to give you a fair shake, they're going to be understanding of what you want to talk about. So come with them in a manner that's, open. Mature and open and not disrespectful, because you don't know what the situation is, I think that's where a lot of relationships will kind of falter, is that there's strong personalities.
Absolutely.
And they'll just clash, as opposed to just kind of meeting. Let's meet. That's not war. Let's not just be like, Valhalla! And then just crash, like Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars, just a clash.
Got it.
Let's kind of let's meet at the border. Let's talk it out. And then let's bash, no, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Let's come together first.
Yes.
And figure this out. Talk it out before you start pulling freaking daggers and swords out.
Well, and I think the other thing we've learned too is that sometimes we need a little bit of time to just process. So if we do take something the wrong way or misunderstand something, sometimes we both just need a moment to go our separate ways in a sense and go do a couple things in the house and think about it before we also confront ech other about it. Because if I confront you right away, then it is going to come off as, well, why the hell did you say it like that? No. This is how I heard you say it.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel good. Is this what you were trying to tell me? You know? So I think that's the other thing that's really important. And then it's also really important to be okay if your partner says, I just need a minute. I will come back when I'm ready to talk about this, and we will talk about it.
Yeah.
But you also have to be willing in an appropriate time to come back and talk about it. It can't be weeks. It can't be days.
Absolutely.
It has to be, maybe 12 hours. Maybe you need to sleep on it, and that's okay too. But it has to be within, a reasonable time frame.
For sure. And, we're not the perfect couple, but what we
are. That's why we're having this conversation.
Okay, what a way to be humble, babe. No. No, we are pretty darn close to perfection.
We have figured things out, and we are very lucky because we have found someone in each other that we mold well together, we fit well together. It took us a while to understand.
It did.
Because you were single for a long time.
Yeah.
So you didn't understand, and sometimes you still don't really understand. And I mean this in a nice way, that you have me and Conrad now. You know, you can't go, and we've talked about this on here, where, you know, you can't go out and not go out, but, you know, you have a task on your weekends and you have a list of things that you need to get done. And sometimes that's going to be thrown off. And for you, that's really hard.
Yeah.
You know, because you're used to being your own person and being able to do these things. Yes. Yeah. But so we've had time to figure that out, and we've figured that out together. And sometimes I know, okay, I'll take care of Conrad. You get what you need to get done, because that's going to make your weekend and our weekend as a whole, as a family, go smoother.
Yeah.
So get that task done. If I can come help you, I will. But if I can't, you understand that, because I'm taking care of Conrad and that's what you appreciate. And then we just move on.
Yeah.
You know,
but I think you know, you make a very valid point with taking the time to like think about like what's going on in your head before you irrationally kind of just make this outburst in the conversation. Because then you might start to say things that you later regret.
Yes.
Or that you can't walk back on because, you know, for some reason you're just, you know, irrational, just like speaking off the top of your head, not thinking before you speak type of thing. So, yeah, if you need the moment, just take the moment and let your partner know, like, hey, like, I really don't want to talk about this right now. We will talk about it in a timely manner. I just need to get this, I just need to be by myself and just think about this for a second. Because a lot of the things that I learned from like some of these couples therapy books and stuff is that before you get into an argument, they say count to 10.
Right.
Or before you want to say something or get in a fight, count to 10. They said that actually is like scientifically shown to reduce stress and get your mind clear so you don't say the wrong things or you don't say something you will regret. So like even just taking 10 seconds to just calm down, let your heart rate come down and your mind clear before you start to say what you need to say.
Absolutely.
And I was like, oh, that's actually, is that like real? And I've, you know, not that I've had to really try it or utilize it.
No. Yeah.
But even with like some of like with work, like sometimes I'm just like with some patients or just in situations, I'm like, okay, just take a second. So you don't just like blurt out something rude.
Yes.
And then get back to work, you know? So I think in any situation, not just couples, you know, work, friendships, family, like things like that. I think it's good practice to do that.
Absolutely.
For sure.
So, you know, we've talked about how to talk to each other in arguments or disagreements or whatever, but how do you think we've become so successful at just listening to each other in general?
That's a good question. I think we just have a genuine interest in getting to know each other. You know, asking questions and not having like platonic conversations. Yeah. Plain old conversations. Like we actually like kind of are interested in each other. And I've only known you like what, 3 years? Yeah. And it's like I have like so much more to get to like to know about you. Like I don't think I've ever got you.
What about like our friends and stuff who have known each other so much longer? Like what advice could we give them for how we've been successful?
I think it's just coming down to like keeping things fresh, you know? Yeah. You can't come home and be like, oh, how was work? Oh, work was fine.
And I think we get like that sometimes, but I think like, at least for me, I've talked to people all day and I've listened to how they're feeling. And sometimes like, I just like don't want to talk anymore. Like I don't want to explain it. I don't want to, you know, like sometimes I just, and my 15-minute ride home isn't enough to like decompress, you know, like
35 minutes.
Right. You know, to not have to talk and things. So I think sometimes it's like, it was okay. But I feel like I open up usually later, like, oh, I had this patient, you know, because then I remember it. But usually I'm just trying to like kind of forget about it a little bit. Yeah. Because I'm trying not to bring work home or like be stressed about it.
I think if there's something that we've been good at recognizing is like when the other person needs help or needs some support.
Yes. You're better at it than I am.
We've been like very just like openly hey, I can kind of feel you're maybe stressed a little bit. What can I do to help? Or in situations like, for instance, like this past couple of days with my grandpa passing away, like you've been amazing at just being like, hey babe, how are you doing? Text me during the day, or hey, I'm here for you, or just giving me like a random hug, like stuff like that just like shows me you care. And that even though I'm going through something with my family, with the passing of my grandfather, that you're willing to be a part of it too and help me get through this time.
Absolutely.
As opposed to just being like, oh, well, that's his problem.
Good luck.
Yeah. I'll pray for you, Like, you are genuinely there, and I really appreciate that because it's hard. I mean,
I think what helps for me for that, though, is I've had my own loss.
Yeah.
And so, like, I've been through it multiple times. This is very new for you. I mean, I know you've had a lot of loss in the last couple of years, unfortunately. But all of that is very new for you. And new for you guys as a family, too.
Yeah.
Like, you guys have been very fortunate, and unfortunately, the last couple of years have been really hard for you guys. So I know what it's like to grieve. And I know that it's okay to be sad for, I mean, however long you need to be sad. I was going to say a couple days because that's you. But, like, it's okay to be sad for longer. And it's okay to be driving home or driving to work and just it hitting you and crying even a month later, and that's okay. And it's okay to be angry at the situation, and then it's okay to be sad, and then it's okay to accept it, and it's okay to go back to being angry even after that, because loss sucks.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like life sucks. And you know what? Life does suck sometimes, but it's how you pick yourself up, and it's about the people you have around you to support you and carry you along sometimes to get you through those stupid tough times.
Yeah.
So I think that's what helps for me is, I've been through it and been through it too much too, so I can understand. And I think that's hard for people who haven't been through it before.
Yeah, I think that a lot has, I guess, become a reality that, like, life is so fragile, but also that we're at that age now where our grandparents aren't going to live forever. And so I have been fortunate enough to have grandparents who have lived as long as they have, and to be this old and still have my grandparents.
Doesn't make it any easier.
It doesn't.
No. And it shouldn't.
And the fact that I lost 3 grandparents in the last 2.5 years is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
It just happened so fast.
Right.
But
right.
I think I'm grateful that you're here. You've been through all 3 of those.
Yeah.
Like, deaths. And I think it just, like, helps me because you've been there. I mean, including Rem.
Yeah.
And including Uncle Mike.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Find yourself like Molly. Find yourself someone like Molly, because she really gives me the support that I need, and during the tough times and during the happy times. It's, as we record this podcast, it's our anniversary's in a couple of days, and so it's like happiness, because I couldn't have done the things I went through, or I wouldn't have gone through the things I went through in the last couple of years if you weren't there by my side helping me out. So I love you.
I love you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, God did this for a reason. I mean, we've said that before.
Yeah.
Like, we found each other at this point in our lives for a reason.
Yeah.
Because we both had to grow up. We both had to learn some things.
Yeah.
Like,
we had to both go through the ringer.
And I think that's what has made our relationship so strong too, is that we're adults, and sometimes I think it's hard for people who meet each other when you're technically adults by age, but you haven't fully grown up yet.
Matured.
You haven't been through through life's trials by yourself to be able to figure it out on how you yourself are going to get through some of those things. So I think sometimes you need to figure out who you are and how you handle things before you can handle things as a team too.
Yeah.
You know, and not saying you can't if you did meet the love of your life at 18 and are pushing through. I mean, Ernest and Royale have known each other since they were in high school and they're strong, you know. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but I think sometimes that makes it harder for other people. Yeah. You know, like this is how our life was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and this is because we needed to go through certain things and God knew we had to go through those things to be perfect for each other.
I think when you get to a certain point in your life and you're either on your own, you're doing things, you know, on your own, or you've found who you are, and then you finally have to, in a sense, share that life with somebody else, pride comes in because you don't want to lose what you've gained on your own.
Right.
And so now you're just like, it feels like a sacrifice to you to be in this relationship, or no, this is how I've done it all my life.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to change, you know?
Yes.
When you may have to change,
yes.
you know, and putting pride aside to make a relationship work is probably first and foremost, you know?
And I think you had to do that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, I always felt like, you know, if I can do this by myself, like for this long, I can do this for the rest of my life.
Right.
And when we got together and I had to learn how to work at a relationship, and to put aside my pride, like that's when I was humbled, because I knew that what I wanted in life, which was to have a family, get married, have a kid or kids, and live a happy life with a family. Like if I wanted that, I needed to do XYZ, ABC, XYZ first. Right. And in that was me losing my, you know, dropping my pride of I can do this by myself.
Right.
You know, I can figure this out by myself. So I think, you know, if any couple needs a gut check, that's it right there. You know, drop your pride and think about that other person that you're with.
And you're supposed to be a team.
Absolutely.
So yes, there's things that you can do by yourself, and good. Like I'm glad if I wasn't there, you could get it done, right? Like you don't have to rely on the other person completely, but they're supposed to be there and they're supposed to go through all of that with you.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know?
For sure.
So, yeah, I just think it's really important that you take the time as a couple to just focus on each other.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've noticed that with having a child now, you know, things get busy. And I think sometimes we're both guilty of, you know, we come home, we work out, which is kind of our time together. And then, you know, we go upstairs and we maybe eat a quick dinner before putting Conrad to bed, or put Conrad to bed and then we eat a quick dinner. And we can be guilty of, you know, sitting on our phones and looking at our phones instead of focusing on each other. And I think that is another problem for couples these days, is having a phone with everything at your fingertips, because it pulls your attention away from each other. And so I think it's just, you know, something we need to work on. You know, I don't feel like it's a burden or a, you know, a problem per se with us, but it's something to be mindful of, that put down your phone. Yeah. And I think I read something too, where it's like for an hour a day, like you don't have your phone with you and you just have a conversation.
Yeah.
And like we literally can do that an hour a day, like when we're eating dinner or when we first get home. You know, even when we're working out, we have our phones out. It's like sometimes we just need to put them away.
Yeah.
Between each workout set, we don't need to go back to our phone.
For sure.
You know, so I think that's just something couples need to think about too. If you don't feel like your partner is focused on you or communicating with you or giving you those short, oh, fine, you know, kind of things. Maybe it is saying, hey, can we just even start with 30 minutes a day?
Yeah.
Of just sitting here like this and having a conversation. You guys will eventually find something to talk about because you are a team and you are a couple.
I 100% agree with that. And I think that there's another thing that couples can do is, the phone can be such a big distraction.
Mm-hmm.
There may be something else. Video games.
Absolutely.
TV. I don't know, something else that you normally do on a daily basis that pulls you and your partner away from each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can try to eliminate that 30 minutes, maybe an hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, if and this is just an example. Somebody comes home, jumps on PlayStation or Xbox and plays games while the other, person is making dinner or getting stuff done around the house or things like that. Like, cut that video game out and then spend that time instead either helping your partner or your significant other do whatever task they're doing, or even just, like you said, just sit and have a conversation. Try those things out to build that bond and that unity by talking.
Right.
And we talked about this in one of our episodes about people not communicating. And I think that's what this whole purpose of this podcast is to show that couples can just have a random conversation. And how long that conversation lasts, it depends on the conversation.
Right.
The topic. Like how some of our episodes have been 30 minutes long, other episodes have been an hour and 15 minutes long. Whatever comes to mind just comes to mind. And I think that couples need to spend that time with each other because it's quality time.
Right. Yeah, we don't do enough. And I say not we, but in like general as a people, we don't focus on quality time enough because of all the technology we have and how busy lives are. It's always go, go, go because we got to get the kids to something or we got to, do whatever task is needed to be done. And people don't realize just slowing down for an hour a day to have that quality time or 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Or if it feels like only 20 minutes is doable, that's better than what you have been doing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So do it.
And I think what we've been doing now that the weather's like nice out, we've been going on family walks, at after dinner or before dinner, which is quality time. We get to spend together. Honestly, I don't think I've ever pulled my phone out on those walks.
No, I would agree. I was just going to say, I feel like that's like really our time where we just kind of talk.
And like hang out.
Yeah, and like we talk all day. I mean, not like when we're at work. I feel like that has been minimal, which is fine. It's not like we text each other all day, most days, but, and then we come home and, we have a little bit of conversation, but really that I feel like is when we like really have our conversations, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I feel like we started that a long time ago because we started doing our check-ins on walks too.
That's true. Yeah.
So I feel like that for us is just where it has become easy to just talk.
Yeah. And find something to do like that, go on a walk.
Right.
Maybe do the dishes together.
Yes, I was just gonna say that, cleaning up the kitchen after whatever. Yep.
Like find something, even if it's like 15, 20 minutes to do, and then just talk. Don't do these things and just sit. Do it quietly. Like actually try to have a conversation and show genuine interest. Because when you show genuine interest in somebody else's life, they might be genuinely interested to know about your life.
Yeah.
And no couple out there knows each other like the back of their hand where they can't just have a random conversation.
Right.
You can talk about anything and everything. There's so many things going on in the world today. I'm sure there's a conversation starter. Buy one of these like games, these card games.
Right.
Where
there's a ton of
pull
them.
it.
Yes.
Pull a card and spend 30 minutes just talking about that random topic.
Yep.
And I can guarantee you your communication skills are going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
And you're going to appreciate these moments. And, not to get sappy again, but I think that's the one thing that like I'm constantly reminded of with every single passing of a grandparent or a family member is that you don't want to take these moments for granted.
Absolutely.
And it's such cliche to say that, but I think you don't want to regret it after this life when you're like, man, I should have done this, or I should have done that. I should have spent more time doing this. I FaceTimed with my mom for almost 45 minutes today, and I enjoyed it. It's the longest I probably talked to my mom, and I think it's because our whole family is grieving right now. But I enjoyed that. And I think I need to do more of that, mom check-in, because I'll be honest, I'm a mama's boy. I love my mom dearly. She's my hero. She's gone through so many things in her life. Battled cancer and battled sicknesses left and right, and was walking the line of passing on, but held on literally for dear life. And I don't want to, with my grandpa passing, I was like, I don't want to forget these moments. I don't want to regret the moments I had the opportunity to talk to her or to be there for her, even if it's just to like check in and say, hey. Yeah. So
I don't think a lot of people realize that until it's too late. So I think it's a good thing to just remind people to do those check-ins with your family. And
call your mom, call your dad, call your cousins, call your grandparents if you still have them, and tell them you love them. Yeah. Even if that's all you needed to say. Just call them and be like, hey, I'm thinking of you because my friend's podcast reminded me to call you and say I love you. That's it.
I wish I did that more with my uncle.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that we can kind of keep learning from, unfortunately, with these reminders. Like with every family member passing on, you're just like, gosh dang, like I wish I could have just taken the time. Just wish I could have taken the time. Well, you had the time. It was there. You just didn't take advantage of it. So I think that's a reminder to everyone to, try to make that effort. And maybe not even only make that effort to, our elderly or our family, but even like to your siblings,
and
to
your
friends, and to just help them and help remind yourself of how grateful you are to have them, and remind them how grateful you are to have them in your life.
Right.
So, but yeah, anything else? Any other topic? I feel like we've just been tossing out jewels all podcast.
Yeah, we should charge for this one.
Yeah.
This is
definitely couples therapy.
Yes.
Yes. What we should try to do one of these days? We should do like what Dax does and do like live calls. Have people call in and do like a live call.
About what though?
I don't know. It'd be something we think about.
We should do that for our one. We should get people to call in about, oh my God, how they met on dating apps.
Oh yeah, online dating.
Yes, and it should be their stories and like
we should
do's and don'ts.
Yeah. I wish we had a bigger room, because then we'll have like a whole like gathering.
Oh, we should do that when we have our friends over, because all of them met on dating apps.
So but we won't have anybody else fill in here.
We should run a quick podcast when they're here.
Yeah.
Like in and out, or like switch places.
Switch places.
Yeah.
We could. I mean, we have to plan that out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty intense.
Okay, we digress.
Yeah.
So I think the big takeaways today are: find the time to focus on your partner or your family member or your friend or whatever, because we're a couple. We're going to kind of focus on the couple, and make sure you're showing that genuine interest.
Yep.
And if you're not genuinely interested, then you need to reflect on your own self and figure out why you're not genuinely interested in your partner. And then take that 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day to just sit and talk and put away the electronics and put away all the other stresses and thoughts that are going through your head and all the tasks that you need to get done, and just talk to your partner about those stresses and tasks and things, so that they can help you carry those burdens, because that's what they're there for.
And do your check-ins. This is something that Molly and I have kind of started in our relationship, and maybe some other relationships may benefit from it. But do those check-ins. There's other things you can incorporate too. If there's one category you really don't want to like talk about, or you can lump them together, like emotionals and mentals can be lumped together. So the 4 that we do are physicals. So basically how we feel physically, how we feel emotionally, or emotionals. Our mentals, so how we are mentally, what our mental health status is. Mental health is a huge thing right now. And so we want to reiterate to people that, there are people who are suffering from mental illness and need help. And, we have to be there for them. So checking in with your mentals. And then we threw in spirituals in there because we both would agree that we need to be a little bit more spiritual. So that spiritual check-in is good too. I think we had maybe like financials.
I was going to say, I think we had something about money, and I was like, do we have something about money?
I think it might have been financials.
I think it was financial. So I think ours ended up being
physicals,
emotional/mental, financials, and spirituals.
Yeah.
So
throw in whatever.
Yes.
Come up with whatever. I mean, the other one that we don't have is sexuals.
And I think that's a very important thing for people to talk about. There is actually a Instagram couple that I follow that like literally do podcasts and stuff about like your sexual health. And so, I think if that's a huge, and we should talk about that one day.
I was going to say, are we going to make a podcast about our sexual life?
I think it is important to talk about because it's an important part of a couple's relationship, right? And if you're not feeling intimate with each other, that puts a huge strain on
that does
your emotionals, how you talk to each other, how you communicate, how
and your physicals too.
Yes.
Like if you're not happy with your body or are not attracted to the other person's physical body, like what the heck, like. Yeah, we should have that conversation.
We need to have that conversation.
Sexual health.
I will do a little research with that one person who I follow. They have like books and all this stuff. So it won't be
porn. So don't be thinking it's not going to be porn.
No, it's just talking about just like this, how communication is important. Yeah. How sexuality is also important in a relationship.
Talk about that. Definitely talk about that.
And we'll talk about our favorite position. I'm just kidding.
No, we should.
Oh my God. That's porn.
No, that's not porn. That's called sexual health.
Oh,
we're going to talk sexuality, guys. That's going to be the most listened to podcast we have. People are just going to know exactly what we do.
Oh my gosh. We'll just do it
we do it at 9:30 every single night.
Oh my gosh. Please do not schedule it. That's so weird. Gosh. We'll just have to put a disclosure for our parents not to listen to that one.
Yeah. Explicit content.
Yes.
Adult listening ears only. Yeah.
Only from ages.
21 through 40.
Perfect.
Yeah. But anyways, guys, this is the Unscripted Conversations podcast. My name is Jay.
And I'm Molly.
Thank you for listening. Smash that like button and click that bell.
For the record, I did not yawn. I don't think. Just for the record, for those people counting.
Yeah. She didn't yawn. I did, though. I went yawn like this.
I did that once, but you couldn't tell, so you can just count.
Oh, my God.
I held it in. I think my eyes watered a little bit. I think if you focus real hard, you'd be able to see it. But
crazy.
Anywho.
Smash that like button. Turn on that notification bell so you can find out when our episodes premiere. If you don't, they premiere 8 a.m. every Saturday for the foreseeable future. So get those noties on. Again, thank you so much for listening to our podcast. It's been kind of a different podcast, a little somber, a little hopeful, but we get through these things, and I'm very grateful to have a beautiful, supportive wife to help me get through, these tough times, as I'm sure I have and will continue to help support her during her tough times in her life too. So be that for somebody, be that person you can, be relied on to help get somebody through their tough times. It will not only make them feel better, but also make you feel better, that you serve a purpose. So find that somebody, find that purpose, And yeah, communicate, talk. Seriously. Like, I think that's the one thing that we've continually reiterated, and one thing that's actually keeping our marriage strong and happy and not contentious, successful. So
for 1 year.
For 1 year. Happy anniversary, by the way.
Happy anniversary, babe.
I love you so much.
I love you so much.
Good. Alrighty, guys. Let us know what you think and how you guys communicate. Shoot us a DM, comment, like, subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you wherever you are. We're there with you. Alrighty. Peace.
Bye.
Bow, 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 bow. Hey.